Hey everybody, it's Jackie from Myra Stitch and Post, again in my home studio. It's Sunday morning here, very blustery day in Cape Breton. We've received about 30 centimeters of snow. So what a great day to be inside finishing up my So Mysterious Mystery Quilt. And you can see that I have my quilt here on the table. And I have gone to the trouble of basting my quilt together. So I have my backing fabric, which is a beautiful soft flannel that we carry in the shop. And we've also taken this onto the quilting machine in the store and basted it. If you don't have access to that service, then you can simply baste it using 505 spray and laying it out and getting everything nice and secure. I want to show you in this next series of videos to how to use your embroidery machine to quilt it. So let's get started. So once you have your quilt sandwiched, so I have mine sandwiched with my batting and my backing, and I just want to point out, you'll notice that my backing and my batting are much larger than my actual quilt top. And that's by design because I do need to have room for my embroidery hoop because I am going to use an endless design to do the borders on this. Haven't quite figured out everything that I'm going to do, but I do know for a fact that I am going to use my embroidery machine to do this really cute, simple little floral pattern in mine because it goes really well with the fabrics that I have selected for my quilt. So what I'd like to do now is show you how I got started. So what I did is I created a little embroidery design here, this little floral design. There is a plethora of quilting designs available online. If you have a Husqvarna or a Pfaff's embroidery machine, you'll even find there's designs right in your machine, the built-in designs that you can use for something very simple. My plain block squares are 4.5 inches finished. So you need a design a little bit smaller than 4.5, and you can see that I have achieved that with my little flowers. Then what I did is I have started to mark the center of each one of my plain blocks, and I'm going to use that as a lining up tool. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to move over to the embroidery machine and I'm going to show you how to get started. All right, I'm over here at my beautiful Designer Epic 2 embroidery machine. And for today, I am going to be using my 100 by 100 square metal hoop. Now, if you don't have a 100 by 100 square metal hoop and you have a 5 by 7 or a 240 by 150, you can use those. But it's like anything else that we do in embroidery. Always try to use the smallest hoop possible to achieve your end goal. Okay, so you can see I have my hoop on the screen. I want to make sure that my cursor is in the center of my embroidery design. So using my design positioning or your precise positioning icon, go in and just align your cursor to the center needle position like I've done here. Now, I've got my quilt lined up and I'm just going to put the needle down into that center crosshair position. And all of these metal hoops actually have a little raised area on them to indicate where the center is. So I'm just going to feel with my finger and I'm going to put a magnet down to hold it in place. And then I'm simply going to do the exact same thing on the top part of my hoop. And then I'm going to use my magnets to hold my quilt in place. All right, now that I've got that, I can close out design positioning. So I'm just going to say okay, and I'm now ready to start stitching. All righty, now that I have my quilt secured on my hoop, because we're quilting in the hoop, I don't want any bird's nests underneath, so I'm going to turn my hand wheel 1 complete revolution and pull up my bobbin thread. And now I have both my top and my bobbin thread on top. In my set menu or your tool menu, I have gone in and I have shut off the automatic thread cutter. So now I'm ready to start stitching. So the machine is going to start to stitch. It does about 12 little stitches and then it stops and it gives you a message to cut your thread. So I've cut my thread and I'm just going to sit back and let the machine do all the work. So we'll let this design stitch out and we'll come back and we'll talk about a few more things that you should keep an eye on. Okay, so we're just about finished this design and I want to show you what to do next. So it says embroidery is finished. I'm simply just going to cut the top thread, release the magnets. I'm going to cut the thread that's underneath for my bobbin thread, or I could have pulled it up. And now I am ready to move to the next block that I have marked on my quilt. So what I am doing is I'm working from the center of my quilt towards the outside, and I recommend that you do that. So I'm going to move over here. A couple of things that I'm going to suggest that you watch for is make sure that you work from the center towards the outside. That's going to keep the majority of the bulk of your quilt on the left-hand side so it's not bunching up underneath here. And please, please, please be extra special careful that you don't get a Dunlop. So we all know what Dunlops are. That's where your fabric Dunlop underneath and it gets stitched into your quilting. If you have that, then you have an awful lot of unstitching to do. So that is going to conclude today's video. I am going to continue stitching out all of my plain blocks with this flower design, and in the next video we're going to talk about alternate quilting designs for some of these other blocks. So this is Jackie from Myra Stitch and Post from my home studio. Thank you for participating in our COVID-19 So Mysterious Mystery Quilt. It's been a hoot.